So I've just had an interaction that I wouldn't have had I not been internet fasting. What it is, it's Easter Sunday here, and I need to buy some things to eat. And I need to know if the local shop is open, but it's like a 20-minute drive because I'm way out in the country. And so I've had to ask my next door neighbour, I live in like a little group of cottages here, is the shop open? And he's told me that he doesn't know. But then he went and looked up on his phone, and we found out that it is open. So that's interesting. So I'm going to go to the shop, right? But, you know, it just makes me think about something, which is that before we had access to all this information, when you wanted to know something like simple, like, is the shop open today? Do you know about this? Like, is it going to rain tomorrow? Like, do I need to bring an umbrella? Like, simple things. You would have to ask someone you knew for that information. And there's a brilliant joke by a comedian, I can't remember who it is, but they basically said, like, do you remember back before the internet where you had to ask people things? And basically you had to know who to ask to find out the things. If you asked a stupid person, then you were stupid too. If you asked a smart person, then you were smart too. So basically you were as intelligent as the person that you asked information of. And why I think that's important is that, like, it teaches you, like, in a real practical way, that some people are more informed than others. And I wonder whether, because now we can get all our information by the internet, and so some of the information we get is like accurate. So like we can check the internet. The internet is like one source of information, comes into us like a fire hose. But basically we can Google a shop and find out if it's open or not, right? Something very simple. But that tells us to trust this place that we're getting the information from. But then also we can be fed falsehoods from the internet. And it isn't immediately obvious who's lying and who isn't, or who's just wrong and who isn't. And it can be quite complicated to fact check, because even when you when you check a source, a secondary source, like, is the secondary source even correct? Because quite often you can find sources in the news that back up almost any position. And so we really have this situation where people aren't training in the day-to-day life to be discerning about the information that they're given. And they also have this new fountain of knowledge, which is sometimes hallucinating. They talk about hallucinations in terms of artificial intelligence. They say they hallucinate reality. And the fact is that the internet as a total also hallucinates reality. And in fact, it is itself a sort of hallucination. It's almost like a shared delusion. There's like an argument going on online about culture, about the way to run the world, about who's right, about who's wrong, that doesn't reflect our actual reality in our day-to-day life. And we engage in it. We engage in this like sort of hallucination. We engage in this delusion, and we get lost in it, like we get lost in a dream, and we stop seeing reality, and we stop being able to discern what's real and what isn't. And that's why you have people dying of measles now, even though we've had a perfectly safe measles vaccine for like 30 years. And to touch on the measles controversy, there's a vaccine which is known as the MMR vaccine, and there was a study published by a guy called Andrew Wakefield, right? You can look this guy up, Andrew Wakefield, and he said that vaccines caused autism, right? But the study was flawed, and it was later shown that it was deliberately flawed. Like he had defrauded. It was like a fraud. It wasn't just like a mistake, it was a fraud. And he's been convicted, and for some reason, his fraud has sparked this wave of online debate about whether or not vaccines cause autism that still rumbles on to this day. And, the people who are making the decisions on whether to get vaccinated or not are believing the things that they're told by people they see online. And the people they see online are profiting off living in this controversy and stoking it and generating and capturing people's attention. So we come back to this thing, like anywhere there's attention capture going on, somebody's profiting from it. Do you understand? Like, it's not just that your attention is captured, it's that somebody is making a profit off you having your attention captured. Anyway, this has been a bit of a digression. My fundamental point to start this, just to wrap it all right up in a nice bow, is that, like, because we don't have to regularly trust people we meet to get information and trust that information and act upon it, we are losing two things. I think we're losing the ability to discern what is useful information, and also just that, like, to live in society, you have to kind of trust that most people want what's best for society, and the information that they give you on a small level, on a big level, is useful. But what happens is that, like, basically we've got these con artists who prey on our tendency to trust, to scare people about vaccines, etc. And all they're doing, you see, is, it used to be, in order to be a con artist, you had to get someone to part with money, right? Now all you have to do is capture people's attention with nonsense and then sell advertising. And if you can do that, then you make money. But that's like, I don't know. I've gone off on one.